this video, we're going to be taking a look at how we can establish a scale relationship between both UE4 and Maya. So you can see that we are going to try to get the UE4 mannequin and have that placed inside of Maya, and then get our grid set up in a way that we get predictable results for creating against the grid, and then pushing objects outside of Maya and pushing those into UE4 to establish what the scale is. You can see that their mannequin that they have here is about 6 feet tall, so it's about 2 meters. So that's the scale that we're going to be kind of working in. We need to go ahead and get into the Unreal Engine, and what I've done is I prepared 2 videos for you. First, we need to actually download the Unreal Engine, so there's a video that will assist you for that and kind of help you figure out how to get the Unreal Engine, where to go to download it, things like that. And then the next video after that is creating a third-person project inside of UE4, and that will tell you everything you need to know to kind of get yourself set up for that. Okay, once you have those 2 things established, we're going to go ahead and open up the Epic Launcher, and after you made that third-person project, you can double-click it and just load it up. And the first time you load it up, it might take a little bit of time to initialize some of the shaders and to build some of the shaders to kind of open this up. So I think this should go fairly quick. Okay, here we are inside of the third-person template, and what we're going to do is grab the mannequin that you see here. So you can actually select the mannequin, and you can hit Control B, and that'll find whatever you've got selected in the world in the content browser. The other thing we can do is just use this Show or Hide Sources panel. I like to have this open to kind of see everything. Now for this actor, it's actually a blueprint. So if we double click on it and open this thing up, and we can kind of take a look at the different parts of this, we're going to click on the viewport area, and you can see that here's the actual mannequin, and we want to get to this skeletal mesh. So the other kind of cool thing about the program is that if you see anything like this, where you can see this is the skeletal mesh that we're looking for, and if you hit this little magnifying glass, you can actually find that in the content browser over here. So you can see it changed over here to this SK mannequin. So now what we would do is select this, and we would go ahead and right click on it and say Asset Actions, and we can say Export. Go ahead and say Export, and then you can migrate this to wherever you want it to be. I might just throw it on the desktop real quick just to save it, and just hit Export. You can choose your FBX exporter type, things like that, but I'm just going to leave it at what it's set to right here. So I'm going to go ahead and export that out, and that'll export the mannequin that you see here. So I'm going to minimize UE4, and we'll go back into Maya. Let's just go and make a new scene and act like we're starting from the very beginning on this. Okay, I like to turn anti-aliasing on in Maya to have a better looking kind of grid. So now we'll do File, Import, and we'll do the option box. Go ahead and change your file type to FBX, and right here like this, you might see if you scroll down this way a little bit more, there's some more options for you. Let's just go ahead and hit import, and you're going to navigate to where you store that. Here's the mannequin. I'm going to hit import like this, and you can see that it should take the mannequin and put it at the center of the origin here. These are joints. If you select the root bone for this, let's open this up in the outliner right here. If you select the root bone and you tap W to put on the move tool, you can actually move the mannequin around as a whole. It's actually already skinned up, so if you tap 4 to see through this and select like a bone, tap E for rotate. Let me double click on this and just make sure I'm not in world orientation, and do an object like this, and you can see we can rotate these things around. I'll tap 5 to show you what this looks like in the shaded view. So you can actually pose the mannequin if you want, but this should get you everything you're going to need for the scale to be set up. The next thing we'll look at is our grid. It probably looks quite a bit different. I like this setup. I like to have the red lines for the origin of this, and these black lines to show you like some major increments, and then these gray lines to show finer kind of incremental division of these larger kind of squares. So I've got this set up to where if I tap the spacebar over this, and if I look in the front view, tap the spacebar here and tap F, Let's just deselect. I'm just clicked in the viewport and tap F. Now we can see the whole object. So you can see we've got this is 1 meter here, and I believe this is 2 meters right and through this area. And so let's go back to this view. Again, I'm just tapping spacebar over any of these views that I want, like that. So that's how we can kind of navigate around. If I'm on the side view, I can tap F and it'll frame the entire thing. Tap F on the front view here, like this. Okay. So we're going to take a look at the grid. Make sure you've got show and then grid is turned on within your options here to actually see the grid. And that was actually right down here at the bottom. So you can turn the grid off that way. Another way that you can turn on and off the grid is with this icon here. So we're going to go display grid option box. And these are the numbers and the settings that I like to personally use. You might have lower subdivision levels on here, and we've got this turned on for the axis, thicker line for the axis, and grid lines and subdivision lines are all turned on. So if I hit apply on that, you can see how we can change the values of some of this stuff. So we've got grid lines every 100 units, and the length and the width is set to 200 units. That's what sets this distance going out here in this direction here. And so this grid lines every 100 units is going to do these darker gray kind of lines. And you can go and cycle through here and change the colors. So if you wanted the axis to be like a blue, you could do that. But I found these color combinations work pretty good for me. If you want to change the background color, you can hit Alt-B and you can cycle through the different colors of the background. I think this works pretty good for the gray. So these colors seem to work pretty good with most of the different color options that you see here. So once you got this set up, you can go to edit and say save settings, and that should hold your grid settings for you. The next thing we might want to do is maybe just do a scale conversion. So if we did something like this, if we open up a web browser and we did meters to feet, you can type that in and you should be able to find something like this pretty easily. So if I put in here 6 feet, you can see that it should be 1.8288 meters. So let's just do 182 for centimeters, right? So if we do that, if we just remember that number, 182. If we go create polygon primitives and we do a cube and do the option box for this, and we do the width and the height and make this 182 by 182 by 182 and hit apply, that's going to make a cube for us that's 6 feet. And if we tap W to move this thing and we move it up and we get it to sit right on the grid here, and we'll put this at 91 just like that, and I'll tap this here and go to the front. You can see that we're really close and it's actually sitting on the grid as we would expect. And you can see the height of our mannequin is maybe just a little bit taller than 6 feet, just ever so slightly, but that's going to tell us we've got a nice, good scale kind of going on. So he's right around 6 feet tall. And what we could do now is if we wanted to look at one Unreal unit, if we just went create polygon primitives and did a cube, instead of doing 182, if we did 1 by 1 by 1 and hit apply, you can see that we would be able to make one little tiny cube, but that's basically one Unreal unit that we have here. So if we export this as an FBX and we import that into UE4, we're going to get a one-to-one correlation between what we have scale-wise inside of Maya and UE4. So that's basically everything you need to know about setting up and establishing a scale relationship between both Maya and UE4.